Ooh, it's horse beef. What's going on, everybody? I want to talk about UFC 316 today. Give you my entire full card predictions from bottom to top. And let's just get into it right now, man. Markel Medeiros versus Mark Choinsky. I believe Mark Choinsky is a wrestler, undefeated. Another fighter with an undefeated record coming into the UFC, considering this is 2025 and everyone with an undefeated record, especially fighters making their debut with undefeated padded records, are just getting... they're just getting swept this year, right? So I'm thinking that the same thing will happen again. Markel Medeiros, I believe his last win was over Austin Hubbard, which is a very close fight. Could have gone either way. Probably Austin Hubbard. Maybe there's an argument for him to win that one. But Medeiros, more of a striker. Choinsky, much more of a wrestler. That is his base, and that is his style, really. Like, he wants to get you to the ground. He wants to submit you, right? Or grind you up. But I'm thinking Markel Medeiros will finish Mark Choinsky in the first round. I don't know, man. Didn't put much thought into it. Don't really care about this fight if I'm being real, but that is my pick, man. Then we get Quillin Salkeld versus Yanal Ashmuz. Now, don't know what to pick here. Salkeld is a very heavy favorite. Ashmuz is quite good as well, but Salkeld, man, after he knocked out the King of Lions, it's hard to count this man out. So I'm picking him. I'm gonna say second round TKO over Yanal Ashmuz. I could see this fight going all the way, and this is kind of a sleeper. It's a sleeper banger of a fight, man. Ashmuz is kind of underrated, but at the same time, man, I do back Salkeld to get it done. These Australians are just, they tickle my fancy these days. I'm a big fan of these Australian fighters. Then we get Jekka Saragi versus Ju Sang-yu. Holy, another undefeated fighter, man. Ju Sang-yu from South Korea. There are a lot of South Korean prospects coming out of the woodwork these days, but this is one that I believe in particular. He looked very sharp. I believe he was featured on Dana White's Looking for a Fight, like most recent episode. I'm pretty sure it was Ju Sang-yu, and he looked very sharp, man. He looks like he has power. He's, like I said, very technical, sharp striker. And Jekka Saragi got finished by Anshul Jubilee. Oh, God. So Ju Sang-yu has to win this one by KO. It is happening. And it's not just because of the Anshul Jubilee loss. It's not just because of that, but that is a contributing factor. But also combined with the fact that Ju Sang-yu just looked really good. Really good in that regional fight. And I know it's just a regional fight, and he could be fraud checked here, I guess. And he's another undefeated fighter in the year 2025, but I think he's one of these undefeated fighters who will keep the O, especially after this fight against Jekka Saragi. And then we get, again, Lipsky, or at least her name was Lipsky, Ariana De Silva now versus Wang Kong. Now, I'm just going to outright pick Wang Kong. I think she's nasty on the feet. She looked really good last time out. I know she got finished a couple fights ago, but since then she looked right back to form. And Lipsky is going to lose this one. I think Wang Kong is way, way, way too much on the feet. And I think will outpoint Lipsky. Obviously, she could get the KO, and I know we were maybe convinced that Wang Kong had this otherworldly knockout power for a woman. But since then, it doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe she'll go in there with a more measured approach like she did last time out and just kind of pepper up Lipsky to a decision. That's what I think will happen. Maybe she'll knock down Lipsky. I could see a finish as well, man, because she is a super high-level kickboxer. She's fucking dangerous. And then we get Kayla Williams against Andreas Gustafsson. Now, this is a tough one, but I am going to pick Gustafsson. And now that Kayla Williams has been cracked, like he's been well and truly cracked and put out, I don't know, man. I see a downward spiral because the dude was so dangerous because he slings such fucking hammers. Like, he throws from the hip, man. He just throws hammers. And he had a really good chin to go along with it, dude. So he was able to just walk into the fire, sometimes eat a couple of shots on the chin, and he just had to land one. But now that chin's been cracked, and Gustafsson is a very, very dangerous-looking fighter, and I think he's going to TKO Chaos Williams. I think he'll bully him in the clinch and just TKO him. But Chaos Williams is a tough guy, man. So if he got the KO, would it surprise me? Absolutely not, but I am going to go with Andreas Gustafsson by a second-round TKO. Then we get Sergey Spivac versus Waldo Cortez Aosta. Look at that physique, man. Peak male physique. Looking real good. But I'm going to pick Spivac, I think. I'm gonna say second round submission, but man, I just don't care to watch tubby fucking heavyweights fight anymore. Do you guys really give a shit to watch tubby ass heavyweights fight? It's just not of any interest to me, at least. But then we get Mirzakhanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. It's a pretty fun fight, man. It's a really fun fight. You get the undefeated Mirzakhanov. Now, is this the fight where he'll finally lose his O? I'm not too sure. Like, Ribeiro's a bit underrated. But at the same time, I am picking Mirzakhanov to keep that out. I think he has such a sharp left hand, has so much power in that left hand. Ribeiro's no slouch either. He really isn't. He looked really good. I think his last fight was against, I believe, or maybe his second last fight was against an undefeated, I believe it was Nurzagay. I think so, right? And he finished him. But Mirzakhanov, I think, is just a different level, and he just has so much power in those hands, dude. That left hand, like I said, is a piston. I think he's going to put it on Ribeiro. I'm going to say first round knockout. Then we get Bruno Silva versus Joshua Vando. This is a sleeper banger. This has, I would say, all the potential in the world to be the fight of the night. Crazy fight. Bruno Silva, he's not the best in the world, but he is scrappy. He does come to bang, and he bangs, man. And I think he will oblige Joshua Van until he is eventually finished by Joshua Van. I do think he'll get finished by Van, because if this fight is relegated to like just a simple stand-up bout, then Joshua Van will piece this man up. He'll dig to the body, and he just has crazy takedown defense. So I don't see Bruno Silva having that grappling pedigree to be able to even get Joshua Van to the ground. So I think that Joshua Van will be able to employ that game plan, just put the hands on you, mix it up body, head, and just break this man down. He doesn't have a whole lot of power in his hands, but the volume sometimes could be enough. And he's just so sharp, dude. I love Joshua Van. He's such a fun fighter to watch, and I think he's going to win. I'm going to say, third round. I'm going to say third round TKO. I think by the third, the body work will maybe add up, and he'll get him out of there. But then we get, Vicente Luque, man, one of my favorite fighters of all time. Watching this man during his rise, he was so dangerous at one point, and watching him get that finish last time out against Themba Gorimbo, I believe it was, which I picked, by the way. Right, I never doubt my man Vicente Luque, but he's going up against Kevin Holland, who's very inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get with him, right? If he's going to show up focused, if he's going to show up in good form, you have no clue what's going on. But dude, he is dangerous, right? He is long. He is dangerous. He is dangerous on the ground, but Vicente Luque is, I would say, exceptionally good on the ground. He's actually quite underrated in that regard, and on the feet, he has such power. But then again, Kevin Holland has a granite chin. Like, honestly speaking, one of the better chins potentially of all time. The man ate a full-on headbutt to his fucking chin on the button, went down, went out, and then woke right back up afterwards. I don't know. The guy is very hard to hurt, very hard to knock out. So I feel like Vicente Luque may have to go for a submission here, and I could see him maybe hurting Kevin Holland on the feet if he's not too gun shy, because he did have the brain bleed, right? He has had some rough performances recently, but I'm hoping that Themba Gorimbo win reinstills him with that confidence that he should have, because he's so skilled, dude. He has great boxing, he's a great kicker as well, great Muay Thai overall, and he's a fantastic grappler, dude. He's just so well-rounded. He's really good, and I think he's too good for Kevin Holland, and I'm picking Vicente Luque. It's a risky pick for sure, but I don't bet on fights, so I don't really give a shit, and I don't recommend you bet on fights either, but I know that will not stop any of you from doing so. But we get Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. Now, out of sheer disdain for Mario Batista, based on what he did to Jose Aldo last time out, and just based on the fact that Patchy Mix has a hilarious name, and he's coming into the UFC, and like I said, I just love the name Patchy Mix. That is a fantastic name. I love the name Patchy Mix, and I'm going to pick him to beat Mario Batista, because why not, right? Right, I don't want to put it out there that Mario Batista is going to win this fight, so am I going to pick it based off logic? No, and I also don't even think that Mario Batista is that dangerous. He's not even that good. He doesn't have that high a level of a skill set. In my opinion, he's well-rounded, but he's just he's just a grinder. And I'm going to pick Patchy Mix here by decision, right? The UFC wants him to lose this one. Nobody likes Mario Batista. Get him out of here, man. Patchy Mix is gonna fraud check him, even though he's already lost, and this would not be a fraud checking, but who gives a shit? Let's call it that anyway, because it's fucking Mario Batista. Then we get Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Holy shit, this is a tough one. Look at Kelvin Gastelum, by the way. Look at that frame. The man is built like a refrigerator, like a mini fridge. And Joe Pyfer, he's no joke. He's no joke. I know everyone likes to shit on him, make fun of him, slag him off, whatever. But he's no joke, right? He does have a lot of power. Then again, Kelvin Gastelum has a blockhead and a crazy chin. Having said that, though, I think this is the kind of fight where that chin could be cracked. But I do think on the feet, man, as far as overall skill set on the feet, Joe Pyfer may have more power, but Kelvin Gastelum has very good boxing, super underrated boxing, very underrated boxing. And if he comes in here sharp, well trained, I can see Kelvin beating up Joe Pyfer. If I'm being honest, I just think he's better, right? Joe Pyfer, he has a lot of power. Right, he throws bombs, but Kelvin Gastelum is just better, in my opinion. But do I think he'll win this fight? See, that's a tough one. I am going to pick Joe Pyfer at the end of the day to win this one. I just think that Kelvin Gastelum is at the tail end of his career. And I'm just not too sure how much he has left to give, man. And this could be one where he gets his chin finally cracked. Is that possible? I could see it, but I'm going to say Joe Pyfer by decision. Really, I just don't see any reason why the judges would even want to give a win to Kelvin Gastelum at this point, like, after all the weight misses and all of this shit, man. I don't know, dude. I just feel like Kelvin Gastelum is on his way out of the UFC, and Joe Pyfer doesn't exactly have momentum, but I think he's more beneficial for the UFC. So I think regardless, if this is a closely fought contest, it's going to be given to Joe Pyfer. And I think that everything will be done to give this fight to Joe Pyfer. I can see a knockout in either direction, though, but I'll pick Joe Pyfer by decision, like I said. But I can also see a Kelvin Gastelum win here. I really can. And the fact that comes right before 2 title fights is insane, man. What a trash card. But Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison, man, oh man. This is an intriguing women's fight. I will say it is pretty intriguing. They have had some beef, and there has been some trash talk, and it's kind of gotten me a little bit invested here. Not because I want either one to win more than the other. I honestly don't really care who wins this fight. I kind of just want a fun little scrap between these two. And I see a lot of people picking Kayla Harrison here, and I do understand that. I do 100% understand that. But after her last performance, I was left underwhelmed. And I was left thinking that Juliana Pena is the perfect fighter to beat Kayla Harrison, right? Juliana Pena, say what you want about her. She has Juliana Pena striking, which is the worst striking that you can have, in my opinion. Some of the worst striking I've ever seen. Awful hands, right? Awful. And she's not particularly great anywhere. She's a good grappler, and she has a great gas tank and can push the pace. And that is why I worry for Kayla Harrison here. Because if Kayla Harrison gets her down early, makes her tap, then of course that is her main way to win this fight. Considering it's a 5-rounder, she carries all that muscle. It's going to be tough for her, man. If this gets past the second and she's really trying to bully Juliana Pena on the ground and Pena does not bend to her will, then for me, Juliana Pena is simply going to steamroll the rest of this fight. I think round 3, 4, 5, right? If Kayla Harrison maybe picks up rounds 1 and 2, I think Juliana Pena is 100% going to take rounds 3, 4, and 5. She throws high volume, even though those are terrible shots. Like, Kayla Harrison is not Amanda Nunes. She's not going to be stepping back and punishing Juliana Pena for her mistakes on the feet. She's really not going to, the way I see it. I'm picking Juliana Pena. I think she's going to win this fight by decision and retain that belt. As much as I do think it's better for the UFC for Kayla Harrison to win this one, I guess just because she's a jacked woman, and I guess there's that freak show element to it, because she is exceptionally jacked and obviously on something, right? You would think so. But I'm picking Juliana Pena. I think she has the will to win this one. I think she has the gas tank. She lost to Raquel Pennington. Let's just get that one out of the way. She lost her last fight. She shouldn't even have the belt to begin with. But I think stylistically she has what it takes to beat Kayla Harrison. I think she'll do that. I think she will impose her will over Kayla Harrison past the second round. This is honestly a bit of a similar fight to Khamzat Chimaev DDP in a way. Not exactly the same thing, but Kayla Harrison, an extremely physically imposing fighter who doesn't have championship gas tank. Right, she simply can't. If she cannot get you out of there, like, there's no way you carry all that muscle and you can keep up that pace. And we saw it. She did slow down against Ketlin Vieira, and she looked unimpressive. In my opinion, I wasn't impressed, man. So, dude, Juliana Pena, let's get the fuck out of here. I've been yapping for too long about this fight, and let's just get on to the main event, man. Merab Dvalishvili versus Shaun O'Malley 2. Now, of course, it's very easy to say that Merab is just going to put out a repeat of his performance against Shaun O'Malley the first time out. But then, of course, there are certain factors. I guess I have to mention the labrum, right? He is post-surgery now and seemingly recovered. He hasn't been jaying the peen, you know what I mean? So he hasn't been jerking it. Wow, what a great step. He's not jerking it. I guess that gives him the edge in this one. I'm not too sure if he's seen a dead owl or anything, or has experienced bad omens. I'm not too sure what's been happening recently for him. And I did watch a few media videos, and Shaun O'Malley does seem more locked in. He hasn't dyed his hair. Oh my God, he hasn't dyed his hair. He's so locked in, everybody. People are just looking into every reason to pick Shaun O'Malley here, and I do get that. Yeah, because it's a different fight, and when you're going up against Shaun O'Malley and someone who's a knockout artist, a knockout artist in the sense that he does have one-shot knockout power, but he hasn't exactly knocked out or sparked out the highest level guys, but he's hurt the highest level guys, right? He hurt Peter Yan. Peter Yan's not an easy guy to hurt, right? And he did drop Aljamain Sterling an early stoppage, sure, but he hurt Aljamain Sterling real bad with that shot, and it's all about his timing. Extremely high level feint game. He has some of the best feints in the UFC. I'm no fan of Sean O'Malley, but I have to admit that he has some of the best feinting game in the UFC. But then again, I do think that we might see a similar version to what we saw last time out. We might see Sean O'Malley be a little bit more active, but then again, I think a lot of his confidence has came from him being undefeated, right? He was able to convince himself that he was undefeated after the first Chito loss, right? But I think after that Merab loss, a lot of that mentally undefeated confidence or delusion, as you could call it, I believe could be gone here. And Merab is coming off of a win over O'Malley and then another win over Umar, man. And I remember what everyone was saying, right? Everyone's always looking for reasons to pick against guys based on body language, behavior at press conferences, and everyone's a fucking body language expert nowadays, apparently, right? Everyone's an expert on everything now. And Merab, he looks a little bit drained at a post or a pre-fight press conference. Oh my God, his weight cut's bad. He said it himself, his weight cut's bad. But against Umar, leading up to that fight, he was overly emotional, right? And everyone was saying that,
oh, brother, Merab too emotional, brother. Umar going to finish him in one round, brother. Going to dominate him, brother.
And then look what happened. Merab went in there, looked like he always has. So I think when it comes to Merab, he always has a bad weight cut. He always gets injured during camp. So I think taking any of these factors as like a reason to have confidence in the opposite result happening is silly when it comes to Merab, because like he has that proven track record. He's just a guy who defies all the odds when it comes to reasons that he shouldn't win a fight. The guy had a split shin going in there against Umar Nurmagomedov and was still throwing it at Umar, and it clearly was not fully healed, and it looked potentially even infected. Man, he goes in there and he defies the odds every single time, and he has a hard-working mindset. The man just goes, he trains anywhere he is, he trains, he goes in public gyms, trains, whatever, right? Sean O'Malley, I see him, he has his big compound, big fancy equipment, all of that, and I know he does go into a gym and he trains, I understand that. But when I see Sean O'Malley and I see him with all these things, I see a man who already has everything. And I get it, he's coming in here, he's more level-headed, right? But remember when Conor McGregor came in there against Dustin Poirier second time around, right? He was all drawn back, reserved. Everyone is saying, wow, that's a very mature Conor McGregor. He looks very locked in. And then he goes out there and he looked good in the first round, but then he gets finished. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's proof that that's going to happen again. But I'm just saying is hold your horses, pump the brakes a little bit, right? Just because he's not jerking it anymore does not mean that this fight is going to be much different. But having said that, like I said before, when you give Sean O'Malley, a dangerous striker, 25 minutes once again to knock you out, there's always that danger. But I do see Merab imposing a similar game plan. Even if Sean O'Malley has been focusing solely on grappling, I just don't think it's enough to close that gap with Merab. Merab's been grappling his entire life. And eventually, right, even with someone like Umar was able to fight off the takedowns until he wasn't able to, right? Until the sheer number of takedowns, the sheer volume of takedowns was too much for him. And he broke him down. I think something similar will happen here with Sean O'Malley. I think this could potentially be even more dominant than the first time around. But then again, Sean O'Malley could absolutely spark him out. He could potentially win a close decision, maybe. But then again, going 5 rounds with Merab Dvalishvili, it's just not a very realistic thing for anybody to do unless Merab goes out there and he fights scared. But we've never seen Merab fight scared. And he could go in there recklessly, but against Sean O'Malley the first time, he did not go in there recklessly at all, and we all expected him to. He went in there recklessly against Umar because he didn't respect Umar's power. But I think Merab will go in there and be even more measured this time around, and look for his attempts even more selectively, potentially, right? And that could actually open up opportunities for Sean to land shots. But I just think that Merab will be too much for Sean O'Malley, dude. I do think so, of course. It's very possible. Like I said, Shaun could win this one, but I am going to pick Merab Dvalishvili by decision. Once again, I think he will win this one by decision, although I'm very much ready to be proven wrong. Like I always say, it's very, very possible Shaun wins this one, dude. He does look locked in, and he is sharp. He is sharp, and he could even be being underrated by many people at this point. But Merab is a different animal, and all I'm hoping for is a good fight, right? Until a possible finish or decision, whatever. I just want a good fight. I want Sean O'Malley to let his hands go and at least show us something this time around, because I don't believe he showed us a whole lot. And there was some shit going around, people trying to rewrite history and act like the first fight was close. Listen, Like, Shaun was frozen up. He barely threw anything. Like, let's be real here. The man was completely frozen up. He did land a couple of shots, right? One knee up the middle, one front kick up the middle, a decent left hand or whatever. But when you land like 3 shots of note an entire fight, like, I'm sorry, the fight's just not close. It just isn't. And I think this one will be closer, but Merab will still win it. And that does conclude my predictions for UFC 316. If you guys enjoyed, let me know. If you agree, if you disagree, please let me know in the comment section below. And I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.